Here is a scenario no parent should have to think about. You gave birth to your beautiful baby a few weeks ago. You are still recovering yourself while navigating your baby's complex medical issues. And then, tragically, your baby passes away. Now you are grieving. You are in shock. However, instead of supporting you, your long-term employer says, no baby, no leave. If you want to get paid, get back to work. That's the reality some Australian parents are facing right now, and the system is letting them down really badly. Imagine welcoming your first baby into the world only to face the unthinkable only a few short weeks later. This was the reality for Chris Breen and his wife. Their darling daughter was born prematurely and spent her entire life in the NICU. At 6 weeks old, she has tragically passed away. Chris himself, a teacher, had planned 3 months of parental leave supported by his employer and was able to take it. However, his grieving wife faced a completely different reality. Her employer cancelled her pre-approved paid parental leave and granted her 4 weeks of personal leave instead. A significantly shorter amount of time that's also shorter than the precious baby's entire time on Earth. This left the mother with no other choice but to return to work, while still deep in grief. A situation Chris described as deeply unfair. And it's important to distinguish that this is explicitly to do with employer-provided parental leave. When it comes to the government's paid parental leave scheme, fortunately, it offers quite a few protections. In cases of stillbirth or infant death, under the paid parental leave scheme, the parents remain eligible for the payments, even if they choose to return to paid work within this period. In the story I'm covering today, the family was still eligible to continue receiving those payments. And I will also note that when it comes to the government-funded entitlements, those are currently undergoing a gradual reform and are getting better and better each year. Like the period covered by the payments is growing, and this year's superannuation contributions are also being introduced into the scheme. The entitlements employers provide, however, are completely separate from that. But many families still rely on them, either because they are not eligible for paid parental leave scheme from the government, or simply because the paid parental leave government scheme only covers the minimal wage. And in many parts of Australia, this is realistically not quite enough to get by as a family. So to remain competitive on the job market, many employers offer their own paid parental leave schemes. However, there are no legal requirements relating to these. Seeing that paid parental leave from the employer is offered as a benefit, not as a requirement, they are also free to revoke it. And while they still have to provide a certain amount of unpaid leave in those compassionate circumstances, the money may very well be gone. And some comments under this and similar stories say, oh, what's the big deal? Just take the unpaid leave, or just quit your job and grieve. But let's be real, in this economy, this is not an option for many families. While you may be able to delay some payments on compassionate grounds, ultimately big ticket items like mortgage and rent will very soon catch up to you. And there are also groceries, bills, and medical expenses to be covered. And if you relied on that parental leave entitlement from your workplace and already accounted that in, does it then seem really compassionate to pull those benefits? Expecting parents to fund their own recovery from such a traumatic event is beyond lack of compassion, though. It may very well be classist. And in a modern society, grief should not be a luxury only the rich can afford. In these circumstances, one could also argue that financial security is a crucial part of mental health care. It can make a difference between being able to pause, access help, and heal, or spiraling completely under the weight of the tragic circumstances and financial uncertainty. And I think where a lot of mishandling and misunderstanding those situations comes from is that we as a society tend to view parental leave and all those entitlements as something that is solely centered around baby care. So like a time to change nappies and go on stroller walks and feed and bathe. We do not at all center our thinking around the birthing parent, whose life also has undergone this massive adjustment, who also needs care healing, time to pause, time to reassess, no matter what happened to the baby. Yet, when the baby isn't there due to absolutely tragic circumstances, the system assumes that the parents don't need support. And glossing over that part completely seems like harm to me. And this all could be changed by definitive legislation. A few lines in the Fair Work Act could say, in the event of infant death, approved paid parental leave must be honored. Simple, straightforward, no loopholes, no bureaucratic drama. And parents are already petitioning with thousands upon thousands of signatures for this cause. But if no one is watching, nothing will happen. We need pressure, visibility, outrage, and empathy. If you personally have gone through something like this, I am so sorry. What happened to you was not just a personal tragedy, and the system has let you down. And if you have fortunately not been affected by something like this, and you're shocked, good, because we need to be shocked. We need to hear those stories. And here in Australia, if we're capable of building and improving the systems that help parents when things go right, we're damn well capable of building and improving systems that support them when things go wrong. Because no one should have to say goodbye to their baby and beg for leave.